this guy Rene Girard and some of his views, and they were interesting. And it's easy to see how, there are situations where, and the other thing was they said to have a true scapegoat, they cannot be conscious of the fact that they're making the scapegoat a scapegoat. They really have to believe that this person is the source of the problems, and then usually what follows is a prohibition of some kind of moral prohibition against something, and then they feel like they've eradicated the problem. They've set up the new rule of the prohibition, and that was kind of like the organizing principle of humanity, according to this guy. And so as I was digging, I was like, gosh, I wish I could go and just sit and be a fly on the wall just to hear like where he's going to take this Antichrist thing, because also it's being run by, it looks like, Christian organizations.
James Therapy.
So I know it's going to, there's going to be the punchline that I'm going to be like, okay, wow, we got it, and Jesus is the way. But I'm not saying Jesus is not the way or is the way. I'm not taking a position there publicly. But so I thought that was kind of interesting. That's why I brought. But about the human condition.
Jesus and some qualities, right? Like he was less worthy, like sex workers and people that were terminally ill or had, open sores. He was against the combination of religious beliefs and money. He seemed to be somewhat anti-authoritarian and somewhat not very happy about the Roman occupation, right? So, like, what's antithetical to those things? A late-stage capitalist who doesn't see the value in human beings other than the monetary value, that wants a combination of religion and money together, that wants authoritarianism. Like, who's that? Who do we automatically think of as that? Real question. Like, based on that criteria, who in your mind pops up as the Antichrist? Say that again.
He's already orange, right?
I think the talk might be about the Antichrist being, in a way, like an innocent man. In the sense that they were made the scapegoat, we cannot be made aware of the fact. We're aware of the fact that they're the scapegoat, then it nullifies the magic of having the scapegoat. And so that part I thought was the super interesting part. I'm like, oh wow, like people are going to go in there and make an apologetic, for the archetypal, like, evil figure of Christianity, or I would love to go fly on the wall with this thing.
Dr. James, I think Peter Thiel and Rene Girard, the way they live their life and their system of ethics are miles and miles apart. I think Peter Thiel is just going to spin a very quotable saint. One of the more saintly peoples that lived in the 20th century is going to spin his words out of context. I think the saintly Rene Girard would be spinning in his grave if he knew what the arguments were. But also, everything has a thing this is going to be public in the broadcast.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. It's private. It's very private.
Yeah. A huge axiom.
I'm going to be making a fireball.
Christian ethics and Christian political theories.
The first thing that I need is some methanol.
Not greed is good. I don't think Peter Thiel caught that memo. I think Rene Girard did.
I think we need to read the announcement carefully. Are you sure Peter Thiel isn't going to be summoning the Antichrist?
He already did. His name is Elon.
Well, there is a false prophet that sort of announces the Antichrist, and then there's the Antichrist. So, there's your...
Don't let the past performance be your only guide to the future, because you have Grok now. Just ask it.
Is Peter Thiel the Antichrist?
It'll tell you.
That's true. Grok is the free speech AI, right? So it has to...
It was asked if Charlie Kirk survived, and for like a long time it was like, yeah, Charlie Kirk's fine. It's totally cool. No, everything's
this morning, I started a screen recording because Grok would crash. It gave me the name of the shooter and all this stuff. It gave me that before NPR knew that someone was arrested. So I clicked on the thoughts part, and every time I go to thoughts, it crashes the app on the explanation of this shooter. It's weird. Very reproducible defect or system behavior. Let's put it that.
Let's call this one in like 5 minutes. This has been a nice, maybe a little bit rowdy room this morning, but I think we accomplished something. Don't know what yet, but we'll figure it out.
So really quick, I need to make an announcement. If you're at your store, go to the spice section. Go get yourself a McCormick Global Select Szechuan pepper, salt, and spice blend. It'll make your life so much better. And like in days and weeks and months and years like these, we need things that make our lives better.
Well, this is rare. So this is the ANSI traffic jam we're having. We've got 4 minutes left. Anyone wants to say goodbye or plug anything you've got going on today?
I'm going to go to John's room, but just now coming into ground news alert. After overthrowing the government, Gen Z Nepali protesters have selected their next interim prime minister via Discord.
I want to announce the fascist crawl tomorrow evening at 5:30. Going around to Palantir, Amazon, going to Amazon twice actually, a couple other billionaire companies, and they end up at a pub and talk about it all.
Sounds.
Post it in the chat.
Anyone else? Free for you?
I wanted to point out for you, Dr. James, I don't think fellow from yesterday was remembered so much for his views, which I think are kind of a grab bag of crazy ideas. But I do think that he was instrumental because he reflected people's views, especially in colleges, and kind of shone a light on what people in college were thinking. And I think people actually were quite horrified by the ideas that were floating around on these campuses. And that, I think, is a big part of why politics went the way it went in 2024, is that people are kind of horrified by the narratives that are emerging in academia.
Okay.
So that's all I really want.
Yeah, thank you.
What was the number one reason that exit polls said that people voted for Trump? Was it the what's going on campuses? Do you remember the exit polls out of 2024?
The number one predictor was whether people had a college education or not.
No. What was the number one reason? That was my question, not the predictor. The number one reason. So, do you know on the exit poll ranking, the problem with colleges and university, where did that rank in the exit polls? It didn't rank. It didn't come up. Colleges and universities, the least you should do is provide the exit poll data. Otherwise, you're talking out of your ass and you're wasting everybody's time.
Also, I want to announce September 21st to 28th is Climate Week in New York City. It's the biggest climate thing in the world every year. And we have a couple clubhousers who are going to be speaking there. Barbara, who is Dr. Francine's Karma Club co-mod, will be speaking with Peter. I can't ever remember his last name. It's timed to be at the same time as the UN General Assembly, and they'll be speaking at the UN to influencers. So kind of like mini celebs in our midst. And there's a march on Sunday and then events that you can often tune into virtually. New York Times has panels, different things you can tune into if you don't live in New York.
So I'm going to start.
We're saying goodbyes. We're saying goodbye. So if you could just keep this at this point to like 30 seconds, Romero, on that.
So I'm going to start calling Sam Fred, because that was savage.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I let Benjamin go in the audience, Benjamin, only because I didn't want that to keep us. All right, Sam, you had your airtime. We'll speak to you again.
All right, well, so we're launching to the moon in 10 minutes.
Nice. Sorry.
You're ready to suicide
Everyone. And I'll see you on Monday. Actually, you know what? Look for the Procrastinati Room starting tomorrow at sometime between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. We will be the best alternative space on this weekend. Join us.
At the same time, but then you have to ask yourself, what is love?
Be careful. Thank you for that clarification. And also in the West Bank, there are many Arabs that don't believe in violence and don't want violence and don't want war. I know it's hard to believe, and maybe you don't see them; they're not visible to you. But I know they exist.
We don't see those peaceful Arabs, Palestinians in the West Bank. This is something that you don't see, but because, as I said, most of the attacks the terror attacks are from there. But for Israeli Arabs, I can say for sure that the vast majority of them are peaceful and do not want violence and are part of the Israeli society. I know personally many of them.
Thank you. That's a really good point. So I think the question is, I think from Hannah's perspective and from the Bibi Kapar's perspective is, even if there's problems in Israel, they feel we should never talk about them. Don't air our dirty laundry. And I feel like newspapers like Haaretz and, human rights organizations from me in America as an outsider make me see something salvageable in Israel. To me, it looks like there's nothing that represents me or my values or things that we used to be proud of about Israel. It's only because of truth tellers and people who are willing to keep society healthy and be self-critical and self-reflective is really saving Israeli society. To me, it makes Israel look better, not worse, when we confront problems and talk about hard truths. When we lie about it, it makes Israel just look like North Korea, increasingly a pariah state. Can't ever be self-reflective, just lie to the public. That doesn't make Israel look good, doesn't make Jewish people look good. It's not good for anti-Semitism around the world. I don't think it helps anybody. Ellie, you have some thoughts?
Yeah, your comment on Haaretz is that's quite an illusion. The problem with Haaretz and their ilk is that they pretend to tell the truth, but it is not. They're not.
Do you think they're biased?
They're not. It's not about being biased. It's about their incentives being misaligned with an actual ability to coexist, because their political views are they live in an unworkable paradigm
it's burning
as far as politics goes. So they want to undermine the status quo, and they want to position themselves as an alternative view, but not all alternative views are workable.
Okay, so that aside, the paradigm that you disagree with aside, I want to know how you feel about this sort of notion that we should never air dirty laundry or talk about the infighting happening in Israel to people outside, to pretend there's no flaws with the Israeli government, no corruption. Let's like close our eyes, stick our head in the sand and say Israel's amazing and the most moral army in the world and can do no wrong. Like, do you think that serves the Israeli people? Do you think that serves Israel as a state? Do you think it's credible? Do you think it's convincing in any way to anybody?
It's a delicate balance and a kind of difficult question to answer because
most of us find it thoroughly unconvincing and just make like it sounds delusional.
It depends on who are those everyone. So if you split the population into your enemies, the people who are to be convinced, the people who don't give a fuck either way, and your friends, nothing that you would say or no matter how you will conduct yourself will not convince your enemies. The people who don't care will continue not caring. The people who are to be convinced are actually a very small minority, I would say. And to your friends, it actually don't really matter how you will act.
But like a country that dissent is not allowed, right? Like,
no, wait. But before you acknowledge what I've said, like, do you see it differently? Like, do you think your enemies can be convinced with like your righteous behavior?
I'm not trying to be righteous. I'm just trying to be accurate.
Whatever. Okay. Either
I'm trying to be accurate. Listen, I come from a position of a journalist who tries to only say things that are fact, and things have to, in this era of digital propaganda war, I have very, very selective high standards, which I know you think Haaretz has an agenda, but they do follow basic journalistic standards, which is a scientific method.
I don't give a fuck about basic journalistic standards. Like, that's not.
I know, but this is a method. This is a scientific method. You believe in science.
No, it's not.
It's not hard science, but it's a science. Do you know what social science is? Social science has soft science. Is a soft science.
Yeah. My one critique for the whole quote unquote science is that when you can follow whatever structure that you think that is like fair journalism, but lie by structure and omission, like there is no tomorrow, that throws all your standard out of the window. And they all lie by structure and omission, so I don't really give a fuck whatever they say, no matter if it's a right wing or left wing or a fair journalism or unless you're just reporting straight facts. Mm-hmm. You are narrativizing and you are lying by structure and omission.
Mm-hmm. So I understand that it would be delusional to say none of us have any bias, and journalists do tend to lean left in America and in Israel, right? At least in Haaretz reporters, right? Like, so to pretend that they don't choose stories or choose what to include or omit isn't shaped by their unconscious bias would be lying, and I would never say that, so I'll concede that point. However, I think generally they meet the gold standard of reporting, which has been developed over many, many years. I know that people think that we're just propagandists, but there is a standard where we provide attribution. We provide attribution for every claim. And increasingly, because there's distrust in the media, we also show our work. We show
you don't get my criticism. You don't get my criticism. I think journalism should be propagandistic.
Oh, okay.
It should not pretend. It should not pretend not to be, because that's a lie. You just have to be very clear what side you propagandize for, and don't try to delude people into like dispersion signaling. Oh, I'm propagandizing like a neutral position. I'm just speaking the truth. Listen, you have an agenda. It's very clear what your agenda is. It's very clear for everyone. Like, what agenda does the Guardian have? It's like you have to be an imbecile not to like understand who they are and what their goals are. Okay, same for Ynet, same for Haaretz, okay, same for Washington Post, whatever. Like, you see
no value. You see no value in at least attempting to be objective in reporting, and having certain type of journalism that attempts to be objective.
And you like listen, if you can do dispassionate reporting, that will be self-evident.
You don't think the Haaretz is dispassionate? Do you know the difference between the opinion pages and the reporting pages, the factual pages?
So again, so of course I do know the difference. But when you are the Haaretz, okay, and you have opinion and reporting, yeah, like you can take and you can slice out all their opinions, okay, and just look at their factual reporting. And even there, by the way, they will be selecting stories, okay. So they will be narrativizing in their editorial process of just how they select the story. Okay, they will run something and they will not run something else. They will
always, yes, I agree. We conceded this.
They will choose to bury something at the bottom of the page.
That's still not propaganda.
It's unconscious bias, Ellie, but it's not intentional to deceive.
Propaganda is a promotion.
You're purposely misleading.
No, that's the negative association of propaganda.
Ellie, I think what you're talking about is unconscious
then
bias.
you're making no distinction. Then, if everything is propaganda, nothing is propaganda. Simply because, like you said, if everyone has a point of view,
He's muddying facts.
simply
Yeah.
expressing my view doesn't make it a propaganda.
I was using propaganda in a neutral,
I am as well.
in a negative manner.
Propaganda is intention to deceive. There's no intention to deceive.
No, it's actually not true. Propaganda is a promotion of something.
Okay, Ellie, question.
I've got a question.
All right, my friend, go.
I was just going to ask briefly if you could tell me the title in English.
It says, "From the river to the sea, Buttercup will be free."
Honestly, can we just add free from the leftism, or can we not do that?
So what?
What?
And we say Buttercup will be free, and then just add the from leftism.
No.
No thanks.
Wait. But
that's not freedom, though.
I had a very specific question to you. I outlined 4 groups of people that you can try to influence with your behavior. Okay, enemies, friends, the people who don't care, and the people who needs to be convinced. Do you think that there is a 5th group?
My goal is not to convince, but I understand what you're saying.
Wait, but you stray from my question.
Okay.
Please just answer like.
Say it again. What are the categories? Say them again. Friends, enemies.
Friends, enemies, people to be convinced, and people who don't give a fuck.
I think there's a 5th category.
Okay, go ahead.
I think journalism serves the community. It makes it healthy. I think it's important.
I'm saying the community.
What about us? I'm us. I'm us. I'm the community, and I'm in it. I want to say the wider.
You belong to one of the 4 categories.
Which one?
Either a friend, a foe, you don't care, or you need to be convinced.
I don't think that's the point of journalism. Journalism is not to convince people. It serves the community. It makes it happy.
Before we talk about journalism, I'm just saying in any conflict, in any, let's say Israel-Palestine, for Israelis, for Jews,
yeah.
Okay, you have 4 categories of people. The friends, the foes, the people who don't care, and the people who be convinced, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we as a collective, as a nation, or whatever, we run our society. Okay, we run.
So what's the most effective? I think the people who are honest, not the people who sugarcoat and dodge and use euphemisms and lie. That doesn't convince anybody. We're not stupid.
You try to stray away from where I'm trying to lead you. Okay, I have a point, but I'm like asking questions to engage if we are on the same page. My sense, okay, is that. The people who are remain to be convinced are very few. Like around the world, the people that need convincing.
So why lie then? Why lie? Why just?
Well, before we are saying what we do, we lie, we don't lie, whatever. You asked about airing dirty laundry. Okay, I'm addressing that point.
Okay.
I'm saying around the world there are very few people that need convincing. Who have not made their mind, who do not have an affiliation. So basically, whenever you engage in any public, how do you call it, public opinion, you engage in publicity, right? You either talk to your friends, you talk to your enemies, and you do not, the people who don't care don't listen. In any case, correct?
Correct.
So if you so your dirty laundry, okay, and you're being honest, would that change the mind of your enemies about you?
I don't know that, maybe not enemies, but the people who just are don't know a lot of Jewish people, and this is their only impression, you're just going to make them seem like more
They either
sane
don't care,
human people.
or either they don't care, or they're in the group of needing to be convinced. Most of them in the group that don't care, so they don't even listen.
Mhm.
The people who are not who did not make their mind are very few.
Listen, I think I think the problem with your analogy is that many people who you see as enemies, I don't see as enemies, because I think if they're critical, I think they're critical of the Israeli government the same way you are, but you see them as enemies. And so I think that they actually don't hate Jewish people. They're not anti-Semitic. They don't hate Israel even. They may have Israeli friends. They may have Israeli friends. They may have traveled to Israel.
You don't know what I invest in the category of.
We need to be more specific about these definitions then, because I think the enemies category is very small. It's much smaller than you think it is.
Oh really?
Yes, I mean they think I'm a capo, right, Ellie? I'm an enemy. Do you think I'm an enemy? No. So we have to define these definitions.
Wait. To whom are you an enemy?
To the pro-Israel camp, the Friends. The Friends believe I'm an enemy, right? So what am I?
You are tagged as an enemy for convenience.
What do you consider an enemy? Doesn't want Israel's best interest at heart? Someone who doesn't want Israel to survive and the people to survive and not get hurt? Like, are those enemies?
Basically, when I think about friend-enemy category, is just their actions promote the well-being or diminish the well-being, even in small.
So I disagree. I disagree with your category. I promote the well-being of Israel.
Well, I didn't say that you're an enemy. I say you're being tagged as an enemy for convenience.
Okay, and some tag me as a friend. The enemies tag me as a friend.
Yeah, it's okay, but listen, people can be mislabeled. That's okay. But my point is that people either promote your interest or go against your interest in their actions. And most people's actions are very small. For example, most people only influence your well-being or the lack of it by just, having a positive or negative opinion of you. So it's like, when the general opinion of you is good, okay, around the world, it's just it snowballs, right? Popularity has like this tendency to just spread, and negativity also has the tendency to spread. So if you, for example, if you hold a negative opinion of Israel, you promote the fact that like more and more people are less favorable at Israel, because most people are not critical. Most people are not convinced by facts. They're convinced by their friends' opinions. Okay, so and you can have your best interests at heart, but like in action, you can.
You said people are most convinced by their friends. If the so-called enemies, which I don't consider them enemies, but you see them as enemies of let's say the state of Israel. If they see me as a friend and I criticize, let's say, both governments as not serving their people, who's more critical, me or Bibi Kapara, who says Israel's perfect and has amazing tomatoes and
You're very concerned with labeling one individual, which is you. But I'm saying, like, obviously,
no, I'm talking about I'm saying why we need to be more honest and less blindly, reflexively pro-Israel all the time. All of us friends.
Okay, so I'm saying this is why we have to talk about just how people's opinion work and how general populations are being influenced in terms of opinion, right? So you are thinking that by being truthful, you will spread positivity towards Israel.
Not positivity, but honestly, we don't need to lie to people. I trust people's intelligence. Honest perception. We're not. Israel is neither better than everyone, and it's neither worse. We're just normal humans. It's the idea, Ellie. It's the idea that we're humans like everyone else, and we have flaws, and we have good qualities. And the problem is we've been vilified or lionized, and neither is true, and neither is accurate, and neither is credible. Okay. So what we do is when we talk about the truth, we make Israel's humans again. Israelis are humans. They're not monsters, and they're not angels. And that's what we need to promote, because that's accurate.
Most people want to have a completely not subject to your pleas.
I disagree, because as someone who is camped out with the enemies, as you say, that hasn't been my experience.
That's not relevant. No, that's not my point. I can make friends my enemies. Listen, if I'm telling you
Ellie in the house.
one second.
If we don't stop, if you don't stop, we will stop. We will talk tomorrow. When the other people want to talk in space.
Alright, almost go.
Almost, are you feeling left out of the conversation that we embarked upon? Maybe you can ask if you can interrupt instead of being a bitch.
And before I go out, I want to make commercial in my room that everybody will come.
Oh no.
Okay, you have a permission to speak. Go ahead.
That's why I come to make commercials that Buttercup will bring all the people to my room and maybe only Bibi Kapara, she can, as a liar, Bibi Kapara, she can.
I can keep him. You want me to keep him?
Thank you, Amos. Thank you, Amos.
I'll babysit him.
The last time he put all the blame for you, he broke my room and he put all the garbage on you. So I waited for this time to see who is right and who is wrong. Your baby, yes, baby. What you have to say? That's your time.
So I have a question, and it's kind of sentimenting around what Ellie's saying. Do you think right now is the right time to critique and criticize Israel, or wait till we get our hostages back and the war stops? Because right now I find that it's very detrimental and it's hurtful. While they're in the middle of a war, sure, they probably need criticism, but can't that wait? I don't know if you see,
Can I try to respond to that? Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
Well, I was asking you and Buttercup, basically, because I know it was a question for her, but in my opinion, one of the things that makes Judaism great and one of the things that makes Israel great is, not to use a tired phrase, but that we are on the right side of history. I think that being on the right side of history should give you some level of confidence that eventually it's going to work out in our favor. And I think that it's important to maintain integrity. And I think if that means being self-critical, so be it. I definitely think that there's a stopping point where we've got to stop short of being self-hating. But I think that being self-critical is one of the things, and being able to look ourselves in the mirror is one of the things that separates us from, the other side.
Foundational to our culture, in my opinion, but maybe not Israeli culture. I don't know.
And then I want to bring up the fact about the New York Times, how they corrected. I don't know if it's taking the conversation in the wrong direction about
It's off topic.
Charlie Kirk.
No, we're not talking.
Is that off topic?
Yesterday was Charlie Kirk.
Okay, so
You played my clips over and over. If you want, you can play the clips to capture how I feel about it.
It's going to be Charlie Kirk for a long time, as far as I'm concerned, but it's not my room.
I never played any clips from you. It was just saying that there was a correction made on September 11, 2025. Earlier version of this article described incorrectly on anti-Semitic statement that Charlie Kirk had made on an episode on his podcast. He was actually quoting a statement from a post on social media and went to critique it. It was not his own
There
statement.
were multiple clips of him on his show talking about the Jewish Marxist funders' dollars that are corrupting our world. Multiple, okay? BB, we're not getting into your anti-Semitic friend right now. We're not talking about Nazis on this show because this is for people against racism and hatred.
My anti-Semitic what?
I'm saying your friend, your anti-Semitic racist Nazi friend, may he rest in peace, may his memory be a blessing, is not the topic, okay?
So who do you think is hurting Israel more, you or him?
You. We're talking about you here, BB. We're talking about you or me, not him.
We're talking about you.
I'd like to talk about me.
Okay, my friend.
Well, no, but I wanted to talk about the statement.
Let's hear it in your voice. Jason, speak. What do you want to say?
Exactly, silencing people that critique.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to say, I think Ellie is maybe oversimplifying, talking about enemies, but they're people who aren't persuadable, more pragmatically, and those people are really out there, and Ellie is right. Going all the way back, propaganda isn't always lying, but propaganda is presenting things that make you look good and the other side look bad. A lot of the time that's presenting true stuff. And if you want to win, sometimes you got to do that. And there is a time for a rational and searching evaluation of facts, not not just because presenting things that are true, but not presenting all of them is a way to slant things. And journalists do that. Journalists have to make a choice about which facts to present, and they present the facts that they like and don't always present the facts that they don't like.
I think there's
that process. I'll finish up here. That process where you go through and find the facts that you don't like also, and give them equal weight with the things that you think are important and that you do like. That is something researchers do. That's something intelligence analysts do. That's not something that...
You're wrong, Jason.
It's not something
I'm the only
journalists
journalist on this
do
stage.
professionally. Well,
They do. You're wrong. There is a journalistic method. I'm going to explain it to you,
There's
Jason.
a lot of stuff written up about this, and even intelligence analysts fail to do it unless they follow a very rigorous methodology. And that is peculiar to their profession.
Unlike any other profession,
you keep saying you're journalists. What articles are you?
Well, I'm not going to ask you, Buttercup, who you are or what you do. I respect your anonymity, okay? But I certainly have seen a lot of coverage on numerous issues that is not where they have like, okay, here's the half of the paper that is the things that we believe that are true, and here's all the things that contradict what we have to say.
So I think if you look at any mainstream paper, listen, if you look at, you're wrong though, because you're stating misfacts.
Well, what if we have a more structured discussion here? Because I was just about to finish up.
Okay,
all right. And there's a structured process for that, but it's not always the time to do that.
Okay.
And so I can see the argument.
So now's the time for propaganda.
I can see the argument these guys are making that what we're up against is people who are putting their best facts forward. Maybe it's time for us to put our best facts forward.
Got it. Thank you.
I was, by the way, not making any normative suggestions. Like, I wasn't saying what is right. I was just trying to explain how people label someone and try to engage with what reality is.
Okay.
Descriptive, not prescriptive.
I just want to correct something about journalism that Jason said. There are some publications that blur the line between fact, opinion, and dispassionate reporting, right? But any mainstream publication, anything that is perspective, they will label as either analysis or opinion. That's like the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, Haaretz. They would never, ever, it's a big faux pas, a big taboo to ever conflate opinion with dispassionate reporting. I will admit that, of course, everyone has unconscious bias, and like Ellie pointed out accurately, that there are choices that are made what to include and what to omit, and that has to do with the reporters or editors' bias or even the publication's bias. But I think usually the interest is not in validating their worldview, but whether or not it's newsworthy, whether or not it's interesting to the public, whether it counteracts mainstream narratives. That's usually the judgment that's made, whether to include a story or not include a story. In fact, I've written in my career as a journalist, I've written extensively about political corruption, mostly about liberals, mostly about Democrats, because that's where I live. I live in a liberal area. And what I do, even when it challenges the mainstream liberal orthodoxy, we think it's especially newsworthy because it challenges people's worldview, and that makes it interesting, and that's why it makes the front page. So I think this sort of like this binary that we have, that like it's left, right, is not always the case. I think journalism is motivated by what's interesting to people, what's relevant to people, and what challenges the normative view. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Ellie.
You can claim that from individual reporters and individual journalists when you have a publication. That publication shapes around some political bent that either the main main redactor, suggest the word.
You mean the editor?
Editor. Yeah, the lead editor or the most amount of people, like their political affiliation, that work for that publication.
Yeah, there is unconscious bias. Like I said, I'm talking about motivation.
For their customers, because they have to cater to some people who pay them, or the advertiser.
Great point. So let's take Israel ecosystem. There are television.
I'll just finish.
Okay.
Just hand waving that away and saying, oh, it's just unconscious bias. No. Okay, you should own up to that and not try to gaslight people that should not have this bent. It's okay.
A lot of publications, they're proud of their independence they don't tell people what they want to hear. There are television, especially in US and in Israel, tell people what they want to hear because they have advertisers and they have a model that primarily wants to give people, the subscribers, what they want. But
Okay,
journalism, media.
You think the Guardian is not catering to an audience?
The Guardian is a British publication. I'm much more familiar with libel laws and standards in America and a little bit in Israel, but not in Britain. Britain has a whole different view, a whole different set of laws. So I don't know.
But the business model is still based on.
Yes, there are standards and laws. There's actually case law about this. You can sue a publisher for libel.
You can completely understand our law and completely cater to your audience. That's totally.
It's illegal. In America. They sued Fox News for billions of dollars.
But you know, we spoke about it, and like I think like 3 days ago, the libel you can sue as a person or as an organization, not as a person, as a country or the IDF or Jews. Okay, this cannot happen.
No. People in power, politicians, countries, entities should not have protection. They should be scrutinized till the end of day, right? This is for the protection of the people. Institutions, countries are not people.
I'm talking about hold on, we're talking about media, and I'm talking about the
media and libel are designed to protect me and you and Israelis.
One second. I'm talking about the media and accountability, and you were talking about the source of information. And I'm saying that this protection is
for good reason.
One second, please, Malcolm.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, am I triggering you, or just like I literally just started talking about 40 seconds ago?
Yeah, I know.
This protection is for individuals and for like organizations. They have a name, okay? Not for Jews, not for the IDF, not for Israel, not for Zionists, not for Muslims, not for any of this, okay? So accountability, it's about individuals.
I agree with you.
It's not relevant for the conversation.
And there's a good reason for this, Daniel. The point of journalism, I think the old phrase is you need to afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted. The point is not to serve powerful entities like the Israeli government or like Jewish institutions that are fighting for Israel's reputation or like things like this. The point is to serve the people. A society is only as healthy as its free press.
Why is it okay for you to criticize the Jewish institutions, but it's not okay for Charlie Kirk to criticize the Jewish institutions?
We're not talking about Kirk right now. We're talking about this is
you just Jewish institutions
presenting some facts is not libel, and you can't be sued for it.
And if you want to talk about language,
that I think relates to what Ellie is saying. Okay, partial truths are a good way to shape people's views. And
the country is still
it's very hard to sue anyone
yesterday's assassination of conservative activist Trump.
This is not harmful, though, to present a
What transpired here?
Suspicion. Wait, you are dancing around and you're shifting the goalposts. I'm sorry. This is what bordering on disagreeing in the end.
Alright, do you want to clarify? Do you want to move the goalpost back?
Yes, because the goalpost is, I'm saying, you, like, any journalistic venue, usually, again, there are some exceptions, they're like, you can find all this session papers or whatever, on some political topic, usually on business,
you like Wall Street Journal?
On business and economics,
let's say, and then you read it, and you have the feel that they're not bending some political line. Okay, so for me, that would not be propaganda because they're not promoting something. They're just.
You're actually wrong. Economics is a very polarized thing, and people make sense of it.
Economics itself is, but when they report on politics, they report on it much more dispassionately. Like, for example, someone who deals nothing with politics, like an example, you talk about Haaretz, you talk about I talk about the Guardian, and so on and so on. Okay,
first of all, let's take Haaretz. They do separate opinion pages from reporting.
I don't care what they separate.
I know, but someone said they don't separate, and they do.
Listen, I don't fucking care.
You haven't even looked at the paper, and you're criticizing it. But they do separate. Let's just talk about basic facts. They separate opinion from facts.
I didn't say that they don't separate.
Okay,
I'm saying that they are propaganda. Okay, because they shape a political narrative. Okay, but some people, like you in this instance, you're trying to paint a picture which is completely disingenuous and wrong. Okay, that they follow some strict rigid magic rules make them report dispassionately. You cannot gaslight
They
me because
aspire to
you read
it. I wouldn't say
something.
it's perfect.
It's not even. Listen, when you inspire to something, like you should be at least like aspire. Yeah, you should be at least somewhat close to it. But no, this is not close to it. The Guardian is not close to it. And why?
Who is close to it? Ellie.
So I'm saying when I read Wall Street Journal, for example, it is much closer to it because they do not have a clear political meaning that I can detect usually. Okay. And this is just, it's a vibe test. If a paper doesn't pass the vibe test, so there's the propaganda. Like,
It's not a scientific.
Yes, it's not scientific.
A vibe test, that's your subjective vibe test.
Yes, I'm not a scientist. Okay,
But I am, because I went to journalism school and I know the method.
No, a journalist is not a scientist. They are.
But we have a method, just like scientists do. And Ellie, who I think is a scientist, right, knows that there's scientific method.
I'm a software engineer, and even that barely. But listen again, and listen.
And there's certain quality control, right? We have quality control in journalism too.
I do not have.
We have several layers of quality control.
Listen, I do not.
You want to hear about that?
I do not have. I don't care. Like I do know.
Don't care. You don't want to learn.
No, it's not that I don't want to learn because you're missing my main point. Okay, I do not have, like, for example, in Israel, I do not have a particular party or political affiliation in Israel because my views do not align neatly with anyone in Israel. Usually, like on some, I would probably be labeled as an enemy by the same people that would mark you as one for many of the same reasons. For example, much before October 7, when I was trying to tell in Jewish rooms that people should stop banging the gavel on this whole anti-Semitism thing every time that someone criticizing Jews, I was kicked out of Jewish rooms. Okay, just a small example. Okay, and I still stand behind that. I think it was the completely wrong thing to do in terms of like
counterproductive. Undermines actual understanding.
But listen, my reason is not because it's counterproductive. My reason is because
What does it do? Does that cheapen the word anti-Semitism? What does it do?
It doesn't cheapen anything. The problem is completely different. The problem is that the world is much like a schoolyard, okay? And people get bullied when they show some behaviors and some ways of basically that show that they're vulnerable. Screaming anti-Semitism on a schoolyard where there are bullies is just a